Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast.
Talent only gets you so far. You have to have a certain, it's more to it than just talent. It's a lot of people that are talented. Just like if you go to a gym, you'll find somebody that can play basketball better than somebody that's in the finals right now, and they're not going to have their chance.
But I mean, are artists afforded, like, especially when they're young, these crazy and wild moments? Like we heard Ice Cube, winning a baseball bat in some industry.
TLC too, But they had a lot of skin in the game before they did things like that. Okay. I mean, you would think Rick James had a lot of skin in the game when he did what he did, but that's wild. He pulled out. Like, come on.
Well, and then the whole
thing. So I mean, it's talent is great to have, but not being an asshole is something that is an acquired taste too.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. We have our most favorite co-host today, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast. He is a two-time nominee for the Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA, and he is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. He has been a presenter at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival discussing Pan-Africanism, and he will be a 2024 Afros and Audio Podcast Festival ambassador. Hey, Sambaza, what's going on?
Hey, I'm good. Ready for another show.
Good. Looking forward to today's show. We definitely want to acknowledge and celebrate Black Music Month and get into some pop culture topics. We have a great guest for you guys, but I definitely want to have a word about Black Music Month. It is a significant celebration that takes place in the month of June, honoring the immense contributions of Black musicians to the American culture and society. I found it interesting that it was initially recognized as Black Music Week back in 1978, and it eventually became recognized by President Jimmy Carter in 1979. So Black Music Month has been going on for a very long time. Black Music Month serves as a platform to educate, appreciate, and amplify the voices of Black artists, fostering a deep understanding of their cultural impact and the challenges that they have overcome, and definitely is an opportunity to reflect on the historical and ongoing struggles for racial equality within the music industry and broader society. So I thought, let's get into some Black music topics and pop culture. Our guest will join us in an exciting conversation about music and pop culture, Black culture, music. We are right in the midpoint of the year, so we thought it would be really cool and fun to get into a mid-culture review. So our next guest. Oh, before we do that, any thoughts about today's show, Sambaza?
I know you are not going to leave me hanging out like that. Yes, today, I'm looking forward to the guest. And actually, this is kind of brand new because we are doing music, and I love to consume music. And well, here we are, and our guest today has some great knowledge in music, and I'm really ready to hear what he has to say.
For sure. I think we are both significant music heads. So definitely like to get into some music topics and such. So our next guest is a content creator, entrepreneur, and music historian. He is a music producer, VP, and media director of the iconic Black Beat magazine, and he'll tell us more about that. He also founded the Original Album Club, which curated and a podcast and some of the most unique and memorable audio music spaces. The AOC conducted interviews with many legendary R&B and soul artists, including celebrity guests such as Eddie Levert and SWV. So, and he just is a Renaissance man. Does it all. He's going to tell us more, and we will. Beats Gordy.
Hey. How y'all doing? That was a great introduction. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Great to be on
welcome.
here with you guys.
Thank you for joining us. Definitely glad to connect with you. I think we have been kind of talking about that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Black Music Month is definitely a great time to get into some of these topics. So, yeah, excited to do that. And Sambaza.
Right. And we're going to get right in. Question. There are
Yes.
many trends that are coming up this year from now. Well, it's 6 months in. And I wanted to ask about the trends in pop culture so far in 2024. What celebrities, actually, let's first start with what have been the biggest trends in pop culture so far? And then we'll talk about the celebrities that have dominated the headlines this year.
Well, one thing that is obviously taking everybody by storm is AI. A lot of people are doing a lot of these AI versions of either older songs or just creating songs. We've just seen BBL Drizzy added to streaming platforms. So I think a lot of things with AI is going to be interesting, but also scary at the same time, because you have to legislate the parameters of what is going to be acceptable for AI. I know it's an AI site that does those things, that identifies the copywritten lyrics. So some of them are getting pulled through the cracks when you change just one word or one phrase in the song. And I think it's very interesting. Where it got a little irritating is when you have people making songs with artists and you think it's the artist, but it's not them. That's the scary part about it.
Okay. What else? What other trends do you have other than that that have hit other than AI? I know
The trend of, I think a lot of people are more open to the idea of people receiving help for records. If you have someone like a Drake, and then compare him to someone like a Kanye, who's for years had assistants on his records and also assists people in their records, then as an artist standpoint, it's not a problem. I don't see anyone saying, okay, as an artist, Kanye is not one of the best that has done it. So I think if Drake would have went into that standpoint as an artist, as opposed to just saying, oh, I'm the best rapper and you're getting assistance, then that's the difference. I've seen a lot of people talking about the topic and they don't really even know like the structure of records, because they'll say something like, oh, well, Jay-Z got assistance from hooks, and that's a different part of it. Or even taking it a step further and say, well, Whitney Houston didn't write all of her records. As a singer, you're supposed to be looked at for your vocal talent, and the lyrics isn't really the focal point. But then when it comes to rapping, the lyrics are the focal point. So I think people are more accepting to the idea of a rapper and an artist being two different things, and someone getting credit for being a great artist.
Okay. And what celebrities have dominated the headlines this year, in your opinion?
Drake and Kendrick has dominated the last 2 months, to be honest. You know, I just seen Kendrick was going to be performing soon, which was just announced. So that should be real big. I was expecting something from someone like a Rihanna in the top of the year, because she hasn't put out anything in so long. And we realized she's expecting another child. So we're probably going to have to wait another 10 years for a Rihanna record. But mostly Drake and Kendrick. And then, of course, other artists are on the headlines for other reasons. But for the music, I would say Drake and Kendrick kind of dominated for at least the last 2 months.
Okay. Cool.
It was Drake, Kendrick, and Cole, and then he apologized.
Oh,
Right. The big apology.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so we have more questions on that, but we'll hold that, or we'll put a pin in that for now. So speaking of albums, what are, in your view, or what's, where we are in the year, has been the top albums and songs of the year so far?
Song of the year. I want to say I listen to a lot of new music, but I honestly don't.
Okay.
Honestly, don't listen to a lot of new music. I would be lying if I said I knew a big record from this year, because normally I go on my title. I listen to 90s R&B, I listen to 2000s R&B, hip hop from 90s and 2000s. I'll even go further than that. So the Kendrick and Drake thing actually really caught me, but other than that,
well, I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Cowboy Carter and Beyonce. She made some actually significant chart breaking numbers.
Right.
I have a few of those figures. 1.2 million copies sold in the first 24 hours, breaking her previous record of 1.1 million. That record was held by Taylor Swift's Reputation album. And then what would it have? 3.5 million in the first week, surpassing Adele's 25 that had 3.3. So, I mean, this project really, and then the whole country music genre, which has kind of been like debated, and some, any thoughts on that conversation?
Well, I feel like music in general, black music in general, is all genres. When you look at someone like a Ray Charles, he actually left Atlantic and he told ABC he was doing country and did do country. Right. So I would be remiss if you take something like Georgia on My Mind and not consider that one of the greatest country records of all time. And it was from Ray Charles, and then of course you have Charlie Pride. I would say Hootie and the Blowfish would be considered, in my opinion, the closest to country in the 90s for a black artist. And it's not out of her heritage. She's from Texas. So I didn't see a problem with her doing a country album or even just a country record. K. Michelle also is a person who loves country music and has done country music as well. So it's unfair, and it's showing how people really see us as African Americans when they have an opinion about Beyonce doing a country album.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you named a few, but I mean, there's been so many black artists that have pivoted from, soul and did, country records. And then I love that she collaborated with so many black artists too, who do this genre. Tanner, Adele, she's really dope. If you don't know who she is, like, she is almost like a black Taylor Swift in her own right, with the popularity, her style. And she, pulled her in on this project and even reached out to an older black artist, Linda Martell. And that whole story is really cool and unique that, this back in her heyday, she performed country, was on a label, and then like the label didn't support her and kind of basically kind of sabotage her career. And for Beyonce to kind of like be aware of that and reach back to the current black country artists, even some of the males, I thought that was just really cool. And then the older artists, and just be aware of all of that, being from Houston, and just, really kind of showcasing it in a really unique way. I feel like when they get ready to do the tour, it's just going to be off the charts, and I'm just going to have to be there.
and I'll listen to the album. I gave it a listen. I didn't go back to it, but I gave it a listen and I supported it. So it's really commendable for her to step out of the box. What she did with the previous album, Renaissance, was groundbreaking. Of course, this is groundbreaking. So more power to Beyonce.
Yeah, and then to know that this has been kind of like sitting in the can for like even before the other Renaissance, and
I think she said she wanted to do this first.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's
first sitting. Yeah, so it's like, wow, that
the rollout was kind of odd though, because it was during Super Bowl, wasn't it? It was like just a commercial, and it was kind of like, was this a spoof? But then the songs actually came out. Yeah, I thought it was a spoof at first. Then when you heard the song, I'm like, oh, she really seriously doing country album. Okay. It wasn't out of the norm. It wasn't really surprising because she's from Texas. And I said, well, hey, it makes sense.
Yeah, I just think that is so cool that the way that she, and then even like the visuals with acknowledging the Chitlin circuit and all of that, with the visuals. I don't know if you've seen some of the visuals like in the album jacket. There's, this Chitlin circuit graphics and things like that. And then being aware of the whole Western culture, like spaghetti Westerns and all that is sprinkled through. It's really, really unique. Even if you're not a big Beyonce fan, like some people. Look at your face, Sambaza. Look at your face. Look at your face. Look, you gonna give Beyonce her flowers.
She's a great singer. She's a great singer.
Who's your favorite singer?
For me?
Yeah.
Out of their group or just
out of
no.
It could be women. It could be who's out now.
Oh, okay. The one that I'd go for is, if it's rapping, it's Queen Latifah.
Rapping.
It's gonna be that's cool. And if it's Alicia Keys.
I knew you were gonna say Alicia Keys. I knew it.
What about that British girl? The one from Britain. What's her name? The one who rarely sings.
Adele?
No, the black girl.
Black
Ella May.
Half Nigerian, half white.
Tim?
Oh, wait a minute.
No.
Ella May?
Sade. There you go.
Sade. Oh, okay. I'll accept Sade, but Alicia Keys.
Wait a minute. When was the last time Queen Latifah had an album? Like, come on.
No. She didn't sing in the album.
Yeah, she did.
Old school.
What year was that, though? I mean...
That was like 04, I believe. I'm not sure.
Oh,
don't let me lie.
Look. I mean, I love the Black Rain album, but,
Did Beyonce ever give homage to, like, Linda Martell? Who I see here, she's
yes.
June 4th, 1941. I'm looking at Wikipedia. She was the first commercially successful Black female artist.
Oh my God, Sambaza, were you not present just 5 minutes ago?
I just passed through it very quickly, and I think I heard something like that, and I was like, wait a minute, I think
wait,
I'll say something.
Okay, Sambaza, I'm gonna
rewind.
I'm gonna let you live on that one. But we literally just sat here and said how Beyonce reached into country artists, new and older artists, Linda Martell, and I literally just said that. Like,
I thought I did. I thought I heard that.
You just tuned that whole Beyonce thing out. I'm gonna let you live. Okay.
Give him a break, Ginger. Give him a break.
Yeah, it's I think, well, it was good that she did that. What about the guy? We never talked about the guy who sings country. What was his name?
Charlie Pride?
No. The other dude. He's kind of recent. He's really new.
Oh, you talking about the light skinned guy that looked like no.
Well, I don't know how you call light skin. That's
Is he not a melanated person?
He's melanated, not high yellow, but like, yeah.
And he's young, right? I know who you're talking about.
Young, yeah. He's probably
What is that little guy's name? I know exactly who.
I have no idea.
Wait a minute, Beats.
I have no idea. Hey.
Okay.
He said younger guy. I have no idea.
Not in his 20s. Kind of old. But he's very famous with playing country music.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Okay.
Be quiet for having done that spoof of Missing Out. Please, yeah.
No, but really, like, the numbers are really significant with this project. So, like I said, this tour, when it gets to the tour, it's going to be really something special. So, yeah.
Do you guys think it's going to be any like incidents on this tour?
No, I mean,
as far as her traveling, doing country,
There's
You
not.
think it's gonna?
There's going to be no other artists. What are you talking about? Just like a
No. I'm saying because of the backlash she was getting from a
Oh,
particular group. Do you think there's going to be
yeah.
any incidents of her traveling during the country?
I would
Maybe
hope not.
outside.
I feel like the support is stronger, don't you?
Hmm.
I feel like the support is stronger.
Now,
Um,
mind you, I've seen those Renaissance tour outfits.
yeah.
People gonna show up looking like Woody from Toy Story.
Oh, I can't
Beyonce this
wait.
year.
Look, my cowboy hat is still sitting in the box. I haven't even opened the box yet. I'm waiting. I am waiting to bust
If I was
it
a
out.
country fan, I'd go and I'd put the moon in Motown.
Look, young people, I had my Cowboy Carter inspired shirt on last time. I almost started to wear it again, but I didn't do it this time.
Did that last week on the last show.
What?
You had
You
your
remember?
cowboy. Yes, I
I
do.
know. With my stars and stripes.
And,
That was a special day for Beyonce. She released and notified that you could pre-order the vinyl copy of the Cowboy Carter. So that was my special little tribute to Beyonce. So there was a significant reason why I wore that. And I'm gonna do a special anyway. More on that. Okay, so
We had it. Are you getting the vinyl copy?
yeah, I mean, I think yeah.
She getting the vinyl. She gonna mosey on down to the show. She doing all that stuff.
I mean, I think it'll be collectible. So, Sambaza?
They are. Okay, so let's talk about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. Can you give us a brief history of the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake? Because I have no clue.
Okay, this is something that's been brewing for years. It was initially Kendrick going on Drake's album, Kendrick going on Drake's album, Drake going on Kendrick's album. They actually both did a song with A$AP Rocky as well. That was a very popular song. And over that time frame, it ended up being a riff between the two. I want to say the Control verse was the first thing that actually happened where Kendrick actually talked about everyone. And for some reason, Drake took it really personally. And recently, one of the ESPN analysts said that they're actually close to people from the camp of TDE. And Drake was actually on ESPN after the Control verse because he was hosting the ESPYs. And he had a rant where he was talking about Kendrick. And then before the ESPYs, he called ESPN and told them not to air it. But the analyst heard it live and told TDE. So my feelings is that when he was told, he told Kendrick, and that's where the initial animosity between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard Kendrick talk about him not too long after that on BET during a cypher, which is the infamous freestyle that he had, where he said, took the simplest rapper back in his pajama clothes. And people knew he was talking about Drake. So this has been brewing since 2014.
Wow.
And when you actually look at their progression over the years, Kendrick has been a little more low key. He'll drop an album and then go work on another album for a number of years, then drop another album. And Drake has consistently been out every year. From the time his first album dropped up until, I would say 2020, he was consistently on the charts. And it's different, but they're both successful. And they're both at the peak, So you have people who, when they hear Kendrick is dropping, they're running to it. But then you also have people who are diehard Drake fans. And when Drake did a feature with Cole, they kind of made the mark of the big three. And then Kendrick came out with a freestyle, well, not freestyle, but a feature saying, "It's just Big Me." And that's what started it.
Okay.
So with all of that being done, I would say Kendrick won because he did what a lot of people didn't expect him to do, and that's drop consistent records.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good records. So you had Drake put out a diss after a number of months, a number of weeks Cole put out one, but then he resented and apologized. And when Kendrick dropped his, he dropped another one with AI with Tupac and Snoop Dogg's vocals. So the thing I didn't like about that is a lot of people who are not musicians make AI records, and they'll take someone's verse or take someone's voice and they'll rap it in their cadence. And you can hear it and say, well, is that really Tupac or is that not? It's a little confusion because it sounds just like the artist. Drake disregarded the cadence of Tupac. So you could hear Tupac's voice rapping like Drake. And that's why it was bad. So people say, oh, it was creative. And I'm like, well, it's creative, but it doesn't sound nothing like Tupac. The voice sounds like Tupac, but the rapping style is not like Tupac.
Right.
And then, of course, the family, or not the family, but the people who own the estate asked to cease and desist.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah. So then you have people that were waiting for Kendrick, and they put the shot clock up. Now, I don't know if you guys know what the shot clock means. That means if I put a record out, you have this amount of time to respond.
How long?
Some people would say, okay, so if I put a record out, and then you put a response out on Saturday, I'll probably have until Tuesday to respond.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
But this is what people don't realize. Are you familiar with the Jay-Z Nas beef?
Yes.
Okay, so Jay-Z did Takeover on the Blueprint, which came out September 11th. Okay. Nas came out with Ether December 4th. That's a whole 4 months, basically.
Yeah. So
when Drake says, where you at, Kendrick, it's like, we know how Kendrick is. He doesn't drop records like that. So I particularly wasn't really concerned with the shot clock. I knew whenever Kendrick came out, he was going to come out with something. And he did. He came out with a record. Drake came out with a response. And then Kendrick came out with a record. And then Kendrick came out with a record. And then Kendrick came out with another record, which ended up being Not Like Us.
So he probably was working on a couple at the same time, don't you think? And he just tweaked them or something?
I think once you're in a zone, it just happens. Now, I'll say, if we expected that from Kendrick, the biggest mistake that Drake did was to put 3 different records on one record, because Family Matters is a good record, and it does 3 beat changes. But if he would have separated those 3 beat changes, he would have put the first one out, and then Kendrick dropped, and then put the other one out, and then Kendrick dropped. He would have been prepared to drop the other one.
Now, the beat change thing, that's like a Kendrick play move, right? Like
that is.
Come on now.
That is. But the back-to-back is a Drake move.
Okay.
And that's what Kendrick did.
Okay.
So that's why I say Kendrick won. And then, of course, the Heart Part 6, I kind of predicted the Heart Part 6. On Twitter, I said, if Drake comes out with a record after Not Like Us, he has to name it the Heart Part 6. And then he came out with the Heart Part 6, because that's a Kendrick thing. So it was kind of predictable, but the record didn't hit. The record didn't hit like it should have. It was kind of like a White Flag record.
Okay, I'm scratching my gray hair off here. Which part is going where?
Well, I mean, okay, so this beef, like they hit.
Understands it, right?
They hit below the belt. I want to get your thoughts on like the accusations made and all that. And
okay, so when you listen to other beef records,
true,
like sometimes accusations kind of help, even if they're not true, because they just leads to something that either has been rumored or something that is attached to it. Baca having a weird case and still being around OVO is not a rumor. You can actually look up his case. But when you look at the footage of like Drake on stage with a 17-year-old and he was dancing with her and they kissed her on the forehead and they asked her how old she was under 18, like that that kind of plays along with the whole Drake liking young girls thing. You know, it's nothing really there that really plays along with the Kendrick beating his wife, besides the fact that it was a rumor before.
Okay.
So rumors and then things that are tied in, they play along with the beat. It's everything is fair game. I mean, you're talking about guys who had songs about each other's family.
Right.
I don't know if you caught it, but in Family Matters, he said Kendrick came in the house. What did he say? He said, "Where's your auntie at? I want to speak to the man in the house."
Oh no! Yeah, I remember that the song
Yeah.
about the aunt coming out. Or
Yeah, and Kendrick had the song said, "My auntie's a man now." So it
not just came out. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, they were transitioning. So
Yeah.
those things are all fair game in beef, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's nothing hands down, everything, all systems.
When you get to when you get to a certain point, when you pass a certain point, everything's on the table.
Yeah, the kids, everybody.
There was literally another version of Ether that Swiss Beats produced that Nas had that people heard and said, "No, don't release that," because he had lines in there about Aaliyah.
Okay.
Oh.
And they were like, "Yeah, that's too far." And then when Jay-Z did Super Ugly, his mom made him go on Hot 97 and apologize to Nas.
Mm-hmm.
So you would know when you're at a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when your mom, you start talking to people's moms. I mean,
I remember that Super Ugly. I'm like, he went.
he went in.
Yeah, he did.
So how does this beef affect the music industry and their respective fan bases?
I think people are looking for lyrics now, like they kind of went on a whole party run of just wanting to hear good beats and just wanted to dance. But now I think people want to hear lyrics more. Oddly enough, because the biggest record that Kendrick did, he's not really rapping like he usually raps. He's just putting out a lot of one-liners and good catchphrases and everything. So, but I think a lot of people are going to look for them after this to see what they put out.
Okay, so it was like a precursor to their.
It's like a spar match. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you gotta. Sometimes when you have music go to a certain way, go a certain way for so long, you look for something different. And I think this was something different. We didn't expect Kendrick to drop so many records within a span of 2 hours.
True.
And what about? Okay, wait. Let's hold on just 1 second. I gotta give some time to some comments here. Miss MacD said, "I took it as a spoof." This was referring to Beyonce's song, country music song. Say, "I didn't take it as serious at first of all," and then she asked about Sade. Yeah, that's a good singer. 100%. She doesn't produce a lot of albums. I think she's like what's this other guy, Maxwell. She's like another Maxwell.
I said that. I said the only people that can go away for like 5 years and come back and have a flawless album would be Maxwell and Sade and probably Kendrick Lamar.
There you go.
Now back to this the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Have other artists, celebrities, and people who are in the industry taken sides in this feud?
You had a lot of people who had thoughts about Drake that probably didn't vocalize them before, that around this time came out and said what they had to say about Drake. Rick Ross, you had A$AP Rocky. I think the A$AP Rocky thing's a little deeper. I think it has more to do with Rihanna and her past with Drake. But yeah, because there was footage of like an award show where Rihanna was being honored and Drake was actually the person to ring her up, and he leaned in to kiss her and she kind of dodged a little bit. And they kept showing that over and over on internet. And then you have just so many people like Future. His song was the initial song that Kendrick went on.
That's right.
And Future and Drake actually had good music together.
They did.
But if you ever seen that Spider-Man photo of Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man,
yes,
that's the Drake and Future when it comes to women.
Okay.
They're the same person, basically. So I'll say it probably has to do with a female, and more than likely it was. That's why they fell out, you know. And then Metro Boomin, of course, being close to Future, he got into it as well.
Shout out to Metro Boomin, St. Louis.
Oh yeah, St. Louis.
Hey.
That's right.
So going by this, right now, if you start making the taking sides, does this also hamper the music in terms of now when you want to be creative and try to get around each other to try and make music? Like, for example, let's go back to the East Coast, West Coast thing, when back in the day when when Tupac and Biggie were having the beef. Don't you think that at that point the artists now would not be able to collaborate and make some good music?
Not necessarily.
Mm.
It's a lot of artists at that time that didn't take sides. You have artists like Bone Thugs and Harmony, who they are the only artists that actually do songs, only group to do a song with Biggie and Tupac. The other artist would be Method Man, who's from the East Coast. Method Man actually told a story about being in LA in the height of the East Coast West Coast beef, and he was sitting in the booth by himself and kind of looking around at his surroundings, like what's going on. And then actually Diddy came in and said what's up to him and gave him a hug. He was like, I see him on the East Coast all the time. He never give me a hug. So he left. And I'm looking around, and he was like, it wasn't until Queen Latifah said, hey, man, what are you doing over here? Come over here. And he was like, yeah, what am I doing over here? He went over there, and he said he was cool. But other than that, he was like really scared after that situation. But after that, he did the song with Pop. Redman did the song with Pop. So I don't think in a situation where you're not really picking a side, it's a fear. But then if you pick a side, you're not going to do a song with them anyway.
Okay.
It's not really anything that's going to change.
And I feel like those camps were more dangerous and scary than the Drake camp or the Kendrick Lamar camp. Would you say like they were rolling around with like real gangsters? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, Kendrick is like connected by just he's not connected for his own actions. He's connected by association. And then with Drake, I don't think it's any like real connection besides the fact that Jay Prince and Jay Prince Jr. Was managing him at one point. But other than that, it's not them taking matters into their own hands.
Okay. Yeah, I would hope that it would not get to the street level.
It wouldn't.
Yeah,
I think they're more knowledgeable about what's at stake. If it comes to that point, we all learn from the whole Tupac and Biggie situation anyway. So I don't think it's an issue with them just going overboard with the violence or anything like that. That was the last concern for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people was mad at J. Cole initially. And they said, well, he's making it like it's a life and death situation, which is rapping.
Well, we hope not, but you know.
We know J. Cole. J. Cole is not that type of person. So we know when he's rapping, it's going to stay on wax. So a lot of people said that. It's just on wax. That's
true. Okay, so Sambaza.
I found this really, really interesting piece, and you did share a lot.
Have you heard some of the songs?
Really?
Okay. All right.
But you know, that's interesting.
Who said that? Who was that? Ask that question.
I got sources. I'll go ask. And then kind of keep.
I'm surprised you haven't heard "Not Like Us." That is the most.
You've heard that one.
The most catchy diss record I've ever heard in my life. I seen kids at a bar mitzvah dancing to "Not Like Us."
Yeah.
People's first wedding song.
I got Like Us. What did you say? Not Like Us.
It's called "Not Like Us." It's like it's like To Catch a Predator on with mustard on the beat.
Y'all gonna make me start going and bumping it around the house now.
I'm telling you, listen.
Wait a minute,
I've heard two different reactions. I heard some people say they didn't like it and it ruined them, and then I heard some people say they liked it immediately. I haven't heard a lot of people besides Drake fans say that they didn't like the record.
Yeah, I bet your kids know Sambaza.
I bet they do know something. If it's on shorts, if it's on the shorts, because do they play them on the shorts?
They played it everywhere. If you want to hear the song, just scroll down your Instagram timeline. It's gonna pop up. $1 Million Baby and Not Like Us. They're popping up. Actually, that's one of the biggest songs now. $1 Million Baby too.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask this other question on behalf of Miss McD, right? What is the point of rap beef? Rap beef, really and truly, seems so silly to me.
Okay, so
To help sales, and that's one of the angles that we were trying to get you to.
Nah, because initially sales had nothing to do with it when it came to rap beef. You had rappers from the beginning of rap beefing, you know. So I don't think it has anything to do with sales. It has to do with competition. It has to do with saying, okay, when you have a list of these top rappers, I want to be at the top. And sometimes when it comes to a rap battle, personal things didn't get into it that much. That's like, okay, Ice Cube talking about business transactions and talking about all the members of NWA, and then it evolved into that. But you had people talking about personal things in the 80s. You had the Roxanne battle with Roxanne Shante and the Real Roxanne, and you had I think Roxanne had some of the craziest diss records. She had one diss record where she talked about Queen Latifah that was just out of this world. Yeah, so I think it's more of a competitive thing.
And ego too, right?
Ego, yeah, but I mean, everybody who got competition in their blood has an ego. Right. That's with basketball. That's with Michael
Jordan.
Michael Jordan literally scared his teammates sometimes. Like he socked Steve Kerr in the face so, at practice. So I mean, it just comes with what you sign up for as a rapper. And some people who rap are artists, and then some people are looking to be the best rapper, and that's the difference. So that's what I say. It's a reason for beef sometimes, and sometimes you just don't like somebody. Some people just don't like.
Ooh, I can't wrap my head around that. You know, I'm the best. You know, I'm a rapper. I'm the best. I'm better than you. I'm gonna talk about your shoes. You know what I mean? Like
on a regular job, somebody at McDonald's, nobody can make these filet of fish like me.
Right.
I'll make the best filet of fish in here.
Exactly. So, you know, it's like a confidence thing. I
can't. Yeah. I mean, I lay the filet down. I put the cheese on diagonally. I put just the right amount of tartar sauce. Like, yeah.
And I think it's worldwide. I'm not gonna say it's only in the U.S. It happens even in Kenyan music scene, Tanzanian music scene, all African scene. You know, they'll always play that issue where, I'm the best. So people try here and there. So, Miss McD, yes, it does make some sense at some point, and then also I think it drives sales at to an extent, because then we are.
I think the only beef that drove a lot of sales was the East Coast West Coast. I think that was the only one where you saw Bad Boy selling a lot of records, and then you saw Pac go 5 million, Snoop go 5 million. The Dog Pound even sold a lot of records. I like the Dog Food album. Mobb Deep sold a significant amount of records during that time. It was a good time for music, but it was a bad time in those situations.
Yeah.
But you just don't go look for Not Like Us. So right now, if I go look for Not Like Us and download it and listen to it, somebody's got to get paid.
Well, this is the thing. This is what Kendrick did that was smart. This is the thing. So a lot of people were reposting Not Like Us when it first came out, and their videos were getting taken down for copyright. He removed the copyright and allowed people to just put it up. And I think he's the only artist I heard that do that, where he allowed people to basically promote that record without him getting paid. Because I put up a lot of videos on Instagram, and I always get my videos taken down like immediately, especially on TikTok. That's why you heard Not Like Us so many times, because it is on streaming platforms. But if you put it on there, just have it in the background or going on live and have it on, they didn't take your video down, or they didn't flag you, which was smart. Okay. That's why I think it's so catchy.
And he's probably like in tune and watching them, or has someone watching it. And
he has a page with like 2 posts with over like 300 million people watching. Yeah. And he knows what's going on. He's not participating, but he knows.
It's a strategy, totally. Yeah. So it is smart, right?
Very smart.
I hope that answers the question.
I hope it does too.
Next.
I can't see any comments, so, but I hope I answered it.
No, you did.
Oh, that
And
was the one that she had. So,
no,
and we
she had
appreciate
before that. She also
she
said
did.
before, right? She said something about Sade. Yes, Sade is awesome, and I used to be a fan of Beyonce, but no more. Oh, we got people who are totally not feeling her country. Oh, K. Michelle and Kiki Wyatt do country though. See,
Hey, people are entitled to their okay, we have another comment from her. Let's see.
Mob Deep Dog Pound. He took me back right there. There you go.
Listen, I never have a music conversation where I don't take nobody back. So
Ah,
it's on brand with me.
appreciate that.
Sure, we appreciate the comments. Thank you. Shout out to the chat.
Next one. That one, Jen. This next one we're going to talk about. What you got to say about that? You go ahead. Sound off the alarm.
You know what?
It's getting hot.
So we having this in acknowledgement of Black music month or mid.
That's a crazy segue to this. I'm looking at the topic. That's crazy as hell. And, in honor of Black music, you gotta rewind that. You gotta rewind that.
Well, so we're having a conversation about Black music. Okay, so we're having a significant about significant contributions to Black music and some artists. We kind of went back to the East Coast, West Coast. Speaking of that, Diddy. Okay, he was a part of that East Coast, West Coast thing. All right, so Diddy has gotten into some legal troubles. Most of us have heard about Diddy's legal troubles. And in light of the recent news, in your opinion, how will the legal troubles affect his career and legacy in the long term?
I think it's done. I don't think it's really any coming back from a video that shows actions like that. I do have feelings of like people who have been in similar actions that there's no video proof that we still honor. That's a totally different story. But I think in this time, which is warranted, he's not going to be the same Diddy that we've known for over 40 years. Well, not 40 years. I'm 30 years. Yeah.
Right. It's really a misfortunate situation. Someone who was so talented and, and responsible for musicians that a lot of people love and respect. And then to find out that, he's this type of person. But, he still has a family and children. I think recently there was footage of like children going to prom and graduating and, this is still their dad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's, you just kind of feel for the other people impacted.
Listen, it's people who are in jail that have kids. It's people who are in jail that is somebody's child. So fame and money don't exempt you from being a bad person. I'll just say that.
Exactly.
And he's not the only bad person that's in the music industry. But I mean, with video evidence, it's nothing he can do to get that image out of a lot of people's mind. A lot of people weren't even expecting to see that when it popped up on CNN. So just seeing it is bad. Regardless to who's done to, it's bad.
Yeah, totally. I mean, taking you to rock and roll non-melanated artists for a moment, Tommy Lee was abusive toward Pamela Anderson. I want to say that there was some physical evidence. I don't know if it was just like...
we don't even have to go that far back. We just seen maybe 6 months ago Dana White from UFC being his wife.
Okay.
Like at an event.
Okay, so, there we go.
I mean, it's not excusable no matter who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm an adult, and I know in a situation that's heated, I can walk away. You know what I mean? So it's no excuse. And then to come on like a platform and say, well, the truth will come out, and then a video comes out of you doing exactly what people say you were doing. It's really no excuse then, because you can't come back and apologize for something that you said you didn't do. and you knew for sure you did it. You know?
Definitely.
Now,
And
Jen,
yes.
we got to take a pause and say this brief thing that if you are a victim of sexual abuse or sexual assault,
Mhm.
you can call the 1-800-656-4673 and request for assistance.
Thank you, Sambaza. That was so responsible of you, for sure. Definitely, very serious stuff here. But it's just really, it's fortunate that, but like we have you can go to the comments. It says it all right there.
Yeah, he's the bad person that got caught, but there are a lot of people out there that
That's
haven't.
doing the same thing.
Oh no. That's for sure. He is the bad
Right.
person that got caught. It's a
Yeah.
lot of bad people that are, looking at this and not saying a word
Mhm.
because they're afraid that somebody's gonna. It was a few people who said something, and then Twitter worked right away, and you seen some of their allegations. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's why I say he's not the only one. You know what I mean? And we can't just say, okay, let's just look at him. He's gonna get it. Like he's getting what he deserves now. You know what I mean? My wish is that it wasn't a situation that waited this long because people have been talking about him for years, many years.
Now, what about his career? How will we look at him 10 years from now? Now, I'm going to throw in this. I don't know if we should throw in this other guy here, R. Kelly. Well, I guess it's apples and oranges.
It's not apples and oranges because
Yeah.
it's still something that's not acceptable. However, it's something that is prevalent in the industry. It's not acceptable. So I was just talking to Jen, and we just made the statement. That's a lot of music in the 90s that a lot of those DJs that do day parties for 90s music, they're going to have to wipe out a lot of that music because I seen a party where somebody played Juicy and the DJ got booed for playing Juicy. So it's undescribable how many artists today are being looked at and said, hey, we're not accepting that. Let's mute your music because it's artists that performed years ago. Music is still getting played and they've done things just as egregious.
That's true.
But it has to be done.
Definitely.
I don't judge anybody that say they don't want to hear a song from Diddy or don't want to hear a song from R. Kelly.
Yeah, a lot of people, like you said, DJs are, I think they've even pulled some of the music out of like
the radio stations. Yeah,
radio stations. And
I know a DJ from, I want to say she's in Florida, that said that they put a memo out and said remove all bad boy music and music with Puffy in it.
Okay.
So even music that is not under Bad Boy that he is on.
It was some kind of commercial something too. I forgot the name of the company or something, and they pulled him out of it. And that could have been anything because he has so many deals and such.
It had a lot.
True. And I see that he's kind of like making his plans, selling off this, and kind of.
And a lot of people are just backing away from him.
Yeah. True. Okay, so you want to go to the comments about the
Mr. just said, I don't think that we should cancel a person because of his personal life mistakes have been exposed.
That's a thought. I guess the music from the person or what have you, but it really kind of
it's apples and oranges. It's well, it's not really apples and oranges. I don't know why I say apples and oranges. It's kind of you gotta play it by ear. Sometimes some people don't want to deal with the person. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where I just don't listen to R.
So, and
and
see,
that's their
R.
choice.
Kelly
You know,
would be the example because his music is so sexually charged, and if you just look at the lyrics, listen to the lyrics, and then look at the things that he is accused of doing, or has obviously been charged with doing. It just kind of gives me the creeps personally, and I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about you remind me of Jeep. I don't want to hear about somebody's booty.
right.
With thinking about people who wasn't able to go to the bathroom and all these different, I don't want to hear that. So I personally I'll be okay if I never hear R. Kelly song again, even though I can't tell you how many, people still will step in the name of love. Okay. Look at you getting excited about stepping in the name of love.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that one?
What?
Yep. What about that one? Because
I
that's
mean,
not
you
charged.
you can't erase memories that you get from those songs. So
Mhm.
that's another thing too. People have a lot
I
of
say
memories with those
throw it
songs
all
too.
away. I say throw it all away. But Diddy, speaking of Diddy, since
Go ahead.
no.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear this. Go ahead.
Okay. So speaking of Diddy and the catalog and the whole shebang, him being potentially canceled, the chances of his music being, like you said, DJs are being told not to, they're pulling him here, they're pulling him there. In light of this, is there a Diddy track that you would miss?
A Diddy track. Diddy in particular, oddly enough, the record that I'm thinking about is actually a record that has Jay-Z and Biggie on it, and it was from No Way Out, the Young G's record, and that's the only record. No. I personally like that better than the other two records that Biggie and Jay-Z did together.
Okay, it's actually from also the No Way Out. I would say
No Way Out.
Victory. That was probably
I was
because
told by Knife Wonder, Victory was not a top. Knife Wonder told me Victory was not a top 20 Biggie record on Clubhouse.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait! Shout out to Knife Wonder, but Victory. Speaking of Diddy's line, the way he opens up the song, I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah. Now I know you heard about the Rolling Stones story, right?
Rolling Stones.
Okay, so Rolling Stones went to Bad Boy, and they
Mhm.
wanted to actually get photos of Biggie to put on the front cover of Rolling Stone in 1997. Diddy said, "Don't do that. Put him on the cover instead." And that's the infamous cover with him having Biggie written on his chest.
Yeah.
That was the cover that was supposed to be for Biggie, in honor of Biggie, but they changed it and put Diddy on the cover to promote No Way Out.
Mm.
This man.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, sadly.
And there's an article. I'm reading it. It's a long article. I think it's by New York Post or something. I just have it saved. I want to go read. It's a whole story about him and his ways. So, I'll take a read on that one and kind of figure it out. But like I said, the song I wanted to say the song that I would miss would be him and Mace. I think there's one that he sang with Mace.
Is it Can't Hold Me Down?
Yep, that one.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a decent. It's not a whole lot of tracks where like Diddy is like really vocally, I'm saying. So that's why I said Victory, because the way he opens it is kind of significant in the way that the beat changes up or whatever. So.
I'm not gonna lie, the Love Come Down, Diddy Dirty Money, that was my song for a minute.
I did like that song too.
I used to love that song used to rock. That song went double platinum in my house.
Yeah.
Speaking of R. Kelly, before we move on.
Not R. Kelly.
Yeah, what's that?
Which song would you miss from R. Kelly?
Jindal gonna be mad, but I haven't stopped listening to R. Kelly.
Oh God.
Listen, okay. I have this theory of whatever music you lose the virginity to, you're gonna love that music for the rest of your life. And oddly enough, I used to have like an R. Kelly mixtape.
Oh.
When I was younger. So like it is what it is, man. And like
Oh God! Did you just say that?
Memories, man, memories.
Wait,
But
what?
no, I mean, it's not. It's a healthy whatever. Can we move on?
Okay, comments.
Yeah,
Sambaza?
I think we'll go to Miss McBee. And she said, agree to separate the music from the person, but if the music is being played and they get paid for it, then yes, that makes music.
See, I
So
didn't think about that. See, that's another point.
now I think that had a lot to do with why Diddy gave the artist their publishing back. Besides the fact that he had the NDA within the agreement that they didn't say anything about him, but also it wasn't really going to be any value with it once everything came out.
Mm.
You know?
Oh, okay.
So
And
that
I don't think R. Kelly has 100% mechanical rights to his music.
So that might have been like a strategic thing, or I wonder, like, did he sell them like years ago or something? You know,
He gave
like,
them to him before all of the stuff came out, before even
Right.
Cassie's. I keep on saying Cassie. Before Cassie's lawsuit came up, he gave them their royalties. Because Aubrey from Danity Kane talked about how she didn't sign the agreement because they said if you sign the agreement to get paid for the royalties, you have to sign the NDA to not say anything about them. She said, well, I'm not being quiet.
hmm.
You know, so
I thought she was under a whole nother NDA though. No,
probably from MTV, but not
okay,
to do with Bad Boy.
okay, interesting.
Now, when you look at the cultural impact of what it has, now we talk about trying to separate the music from the person.
Mhm.
Do you think these effects have really an issue further with the pop culture? I know people moving forward will want to change the way they buy music, listen to music. We've already seen, of course, people have changed the way they listen to the music. I think we also talked about the takeaways and lessons from these high-profile events. One thing is there a shift in how artists or celebrities are held accountable for their actions?
We're talking about people who were raised on TV shows that had episodes where an artist was either caught doing something or did something, and in the episode of the show, the view of them totally changed. I remember the episode of Different World when Gina had a boyfriend who beat her, who was a rapper, and
Mhm.
then his image changed within the show. I remember on Parenthood, Drew Hill was on there, but it was a guy that Zaria's friend was dating who was abusive.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, we all grew up with Big Red from Five Heartbeats. And then all of these things are happening within our lifetime as adults, and we see them different. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing where we could say, oh, we could just scratch it off and just say, oh, there's this sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's all it is. No, it's not like that.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? There are people that have to be held accountable for their actions. So I think it's something subconsciously that we've been seeing played out that is reality. You know,
Mhm.
I don't care how many allegations come out about a certain artist. Like, everybody's not lying.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not really anybody that's definitively saying that they're innocent. The only person that I know for sure that had a lot of people saying definitively they was innocent was Michael Jackson. And then it's actually a documentary that I saw that actually showed proof that a lot of the stuff was false allegations. So that's the only artist I've seen where there was smoke, there wasn't fire.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like in Michael Jackson's case, they use his odd, personality or his odd actions as a way to, hey, we can, look at him. Look at him. He walks around talking about he climbed trees and he thinks it's okay for everybody to just get in the bed or what, whatever he said.
Well, this is the thing, and I'm glad you said the whole bed thing. You see my loft, right?
Yeah.
See how spacious my loft is? That's his bedroom was bigger than my loft. So when he say he shared his bedroom, he shared a damn apartment. And what people don't finish about those statements is that he gave him his bed and he slept on the floor. You know what I mean? Like he said the nicest thing you can do is give someone your bed. Yeah, if my mom comes over, she's gonna sleep in my bed. She really sleep on the couch. She been sleeping on couch for years. I don't know why. But when my mom come over, she can sleep in my bed. That's the nicest thing I can do for her. When my daughter comes over, I'll sleep on the couch. She can sleep in my bed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they take that and say, oh, well, he's in a room the size of a Motel 6. No, he's not. He's in a room that has a studio and an auditorium and all that stuff. Like he's in a big spacious room, and he had numbers of people in it. So it's like you're taking these things and you're looking at it from your view and saying, oh, he's crazy, or oh, he's weird. You know what I mean? And he's just, misunderstood.
That's his element. Like, for example, I think there's a joke one time Steve Harvey said about Michael Jackson. He said, look, y'all people don't understand how much paper this guy has. I mean, he takes his giraffe to a veterinarian. Now, who does that? And what kind of veterinarian is he calling? You talk about your dog that you just take around the corner and take him to a veterinarian. But you talking about a giraffe,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's the concept, it's the thinking about, what levels he is. He's on a different level than what we are in. Yeah, but yeah.
And his reality is never gonna match our concept of reality.
Mhm.
Because he's been doing music since 5. He's been in the spotlight since he was 11. And he's seen things that we haven't even seen. Some people will never see.
Right. And you know what? You made a video, I want to say, where there's a and I was thinking in my mind that he went through abuse, physical abuse, and I personally never believed that he was, capable of doing that. A lot of people still think that he did, RIP, he gone now. So, but I personally, because he, was abused and talked about being beat and the effect of what he was, but because he started in the industry so young and had to learn how to, snap out of it and and put your game face on.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that. There's a video. I think I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about?
I worked at the Motown Museum, and I talked to some of the people who were there not only when Michael was younger, but when Stevie was younger. And they said, well, if you look at Stevie Wonder when he was 11, and then Michael Jackson at 11, Michael was a grown man compared to Stevie. When it came to work ethic, he didn't mess around in the studio. He went in, did what he was supposed to do, came out. He would get different cough drops just to make sure his throat wasn't scratchy and all this stuff. Stevie would play around. He was a prankster all the time, just played around. You know what I mean? So they said that was the difference in Joseph, teaching them discipline. I would say my grandfather raised my dad, my uncles, and my aunt the same way Joseph raised them. It was that time frame. You know what I mean? So if you listen to the Jacksons actually talk about Joseph, they have the utmost respect for Joseph. From Marlon, Tito, Jackie, after having kids, I think they understood more, and they basically respect Joseph because they came up from Gary, Indiana. It was either them being where they are now or them still being in Gary, Indiana.
True. I mean, really, raising your voice, yelling, maybe
it's not healthy. Yeah, it's not yelling at a child is not healthy, of course.
Correct.
But I mean, I know a lot of people who were raised like that in that time frame. So
yeah,
considering what they were up against, it's still commendable. You know what I mean? It's not the best, but it could have been way worse.
Right. And I was thinking of, I want to say it was like an old clip of Michael Jackson saying, "It's so great, it's so great." And then the film is still rolling, and then he's like, "I really hate it. I hate it."
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
He was talking about touring, and he said, "I don't like touring. Get up every day. You gotta do this, that." And it was like, "Well, Michael, don't make it sound too bad." And he said, "Well, I won't make it sound too bad, but you know the truth." And then they rolled the camera. He said, "I love the tour." And everybody started laughing. Yeah.
And then, but he's like, "I hate it," and it's like, really, wow, you hate it, really?
But you gotta remember, he was headlining tours by himself, no opening act, and he had to be on stage for more than 3 hours doing that every night. You know what I mean? The Bad Tour was one of the biggest tours of its time. You know what I mean? And he had 3 different legs of that tour. from North America to different countries all over, and then back to North America. So it's exhausting, you know. And then he did it with Dangerous. He did it with History. He did it with uh, he wanted to do it with Invincible, but they didn't allow him to. But yeah.
Wow. This wasn't even supposed to be about Michael Jackson.
Hey, he's the greatest.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't Black Music Month. I mean, come on now. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're talking about celebrities being accountable and the shift and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's definitely an artist that has a lot of accusations that I know is probably guilty more than Michael Jackson. So it's
oh wow.
Yeah, and you probably know who I'm talking about too. So
yeah. Okay. Sambaza, you're so silly.
Like me, I don't know. I kind of left out on scandals. So
oh, okay. No problem. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's you get to a level. It's like, okay. Okay. So before we go next, I think Miss MacD says, R has too many good hits. Hard to disconnect him from the word B. And yeah.
Disagree.
So, now, the way when you say about me knowing about the beef and the music, there are people who actually get themselves into like this Kendrick Lamar thing. And like, I think to me, I'll talk about the artist, Eminem, right? Even though he's can he pass? He got the black card.
I wouldn't say he has a black card. He has vocally said he's a guest in hip hop for many years. I've heard him say it out of his mouth that he's a guest in hip hop, and the way he moves as a guest in hip hop. A lot of people unfairly puts him in comments where they say, well, he's trying to be black. Knowing where he was from here in Detroit, it's basically a lot of what comes behind that background, and he could do more to actually offend people, because being from that environment is just what you pick up on. He picked up on hip hop. He picked up on being friends with Proof, and I think one of the stories I heard is that they were really poor, and he had old shoes, and Proof. He went to Proof's house, and his mom said, "Why he wearing your shoes?" And Proof was like, "He didn't have any shoes, so I just gave him my shoes." And she didn't get mad because she gave them to him, but she was like, she understood why she gave them to him, and that's how they became best friends. So whenever something happens and people bring up Eminem, that's why Royce is so fast to say, "Hey, leave him alone." You know what I'm saying? Benzino said something about Eminem. He did a beef record and brought up another Detroit rapper, and the Detroit rapper wasn't necessarily defending Eminem, but he was like, "Get me out of that. Like, I'm not cool with nobody beefing with him." He has that respect because, I mean, he treats himself as a guest in hip hop, and I think a lot of people overlook that to the point where he's not really posing as something he's not. He's really being who he is, right. But he still respects he respects the boundaries that African Americans have in hip hop. You know what I mean? The fact that he has a lot of fans who are white it's gonna happen. Tupac had a lot of white fans. If you're successful in rap, you have a lot of white fans. It's just so happens that he's white. You know what I mean?
Don't get me started on that. My first cultural shock. But before we get there, if you want to hear that cultural shock, I'll tell you right of this. But what I was trying to say was, I probably
know what you're about to say, because Public Enemy's biggest fan base was white.
Yeah, but okay. Before we get the one guy that so Eminem is the guy that I really studied. And when people say, "Oh, listen to his songs, and song number 1 of his album got this and this," then I can relate to his second album, and then the third and fourth, something like that. That's where I was coming with that particular one. Now, for my culture shock, 50 Cent, when his first album was coming out, when he had been shot and everything, and I was brand new in this country, so I'm walking into a store, and I'm looking for the album. It was the CD for 50 Cent. It was at Best Buy. So as I walk over and I'm standing there, I see it And then this white guy comes up to me and asks me, "Hey, have you seen where the 50 Cent album is?" I looked at him like, "What? Are you crazy?" Then I actually pointed to him, and at that point, I was like, "Oh well, people do listen to 50 Cent, so it's across the board." So that was one of the learning lessons that I had to realize.
That's how you know that you. Oddly enough, that's how you know that you made it, when you have a lot of white fans. Tupac said the same thing. He said, I appeal to more white fans now that I'm successful, and I use that as my advantage, because sooner or later they're going to be older and they're going to be hiring my friends and my friends' kids, and I want them to have this idea of certain black people and not this hateful idea of black people. So he used that to his advantage. And I'm glad you said 50 Cent, because that was the actual show I actually went to, the first concert I ever been to. And I actually worked the concert. It was Missy opened, then 50 Cent, then Eminem closed at Ford Field here in Detroit.
Okay.
And just like you said, it was a sea of white folks that was there.
Really?
For 50 and for Eminem.
Like early 50, right? Early 50.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Okay, yeah. That's
came
the
up with the bulletproof vest on. Yeah.
Yes, that's the best fit. I saw him too here in like a little small club. He literally got on top of the tables. Like, he probably would never happen today in these times, but it was like a smaller venue. He literally stomping on top of got on top of the table and just was rocking it, and it was dope. So yeah, early 50 was like a time.
early 50 was crazy. Like, I compare only person I compare early 50 to is early Snoop. 93 Snoop Dogg was the biggest thing out. You know?
Yeah, I saw Snoop before, but it was outside, so it was like a different vibe. I feel like they always rush you in outside shows, and you don't really get the feel of like an inside venue. That's why I hate outside shows.
I hate outside, period. So
yeah, they're rushing you. Well, but you have the elements going on too. I just feel like it's like a rush thing. The artist is being rushed, and you don't get the whole. Maybe it's just me, but
no, I get it.
Yeah. All right, Sambaza, that was a good. I thought you was gonna come somewhere else with the culture sock, but.
So we were talking. We're gonna go back to curating the Motown records. Beats Gordy. We haven't asked you about the name Beats Gordy up to now.
Okay.
Because you do have a government name. You don't have to say the government name. We'll but tell us about the curation of music and how you came to love the music of Motown. Like you say, you represent Detroit. I see you got the Detroit Tigers with you, and so kind of let us know about yourself.
Come on now.
So I began working in radio right after high school, and the fact that I was 18, I was too young to get hired in. So I basically did the internship for 2 years, still too young to get hired in, and I moved to Ohio. And when I came back to Detroit in 5 months, I was initially supposed to play football for Toledo U. I was going to walk on, enroll, and the job that I had, they basically, it was Foot Locker. I worked at Foot Locker, and the manager that was going to hire me in got promoted. So the week I was supposed to start, they told me to wait another week. They're going to bring another manager in. He came in and said he's not hiring no more people. My mom made me come home. So I came home, and I was looking for a job, and I had a walking distance from the museum. I walked to the museum, took a tour, asked if they were going to hire somebody in. They asked my work experience. I said, well, I was trying to get out of retail, but I worked at Foot Locker. They put me in the gift shop. So I worked in the gift shop, and I would often, when there wasn't a lot of people in the museum, just take tours. And I memorized the tour and some of the information. So on one particular day, the tour was going on, and it was too far gone, and a few people came in. It was about a good 9 people. And I decided to take them on a tour. So I took them on a tour, went around, came out the other side, and the manager for the gift shop saw me open the door and let them in the gift shop. And I went right behind the counter and started ringing up. And when they left, he said, "Did you just do a tour?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, do another tour. I'm gonna follow you." I did the tour. He followed me, and he said, "Well, I guess you're a tour guide now." He didn't take me out the gift shop, so he just had me do both until he hired somebody else to fill in for the gift shop, and I became a curator at the museum. Met a whole lot of people. I did a tour for people like Sinbad, so many different people. Motown acts, people who were musicians with Motown came in a few times. So my love for music was already there, but the knowledge of the music came along with knowing the music, and it just grew, you know. And I just started learning about more stuff outside of Motown over those years.
That is so cool. And then I want to say you either posted or mentioned that you own like some memorabilia pieces too. Is that right?
Well, I have a record collection, and I do save like lapel pins that go on your lapel. Those are more hip hop pins, but my record collection is diverse. So I have records from Motown, and I also have the little white and black and white photos with signatures. I have some of those as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got
Cool.
Bobby Rogers, Otis Williams, Duke Fakir, their signature. I met Smokey Robinson twice. The first time I met him, he was doing a promo, and the second time I met him, I took a picture with him, and that's when he and Berry Gordy came with American Idol, and I took a picture with them.
And of course, you've met Mr. Berry Gordy.
And Mr. Berry Gordy, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I have a family member who grew up with Berry.
Okay.
My grandfather's cousin. When my grandfather passed in January 2010, and I sat next to my uncle, and his cousin walked over, and my uncle said, "That's Uncle Bud." So I looked over, and I saw him, and he looked like Red Fox. No lie, like Red Fox in army fatigues and all this stuff. He went up to the casket, paid his respects, and left. And I wouldn't say about 2 months later, he came to the museum. And a friend of mine was ringing up was getting started with the tour, and I was ringing up at the box office. And I said, "Hey, Uncle Bud." I'm Robert's grandson. He said, "You are?" And I had his screenshot on my phone. I showed him. He said, "Yeah, you do look like Robert." So I've let him in for free. And he was like, "Well, no, I'm just looking for Robin, who was the person running the museum." So he went in, and the friend of mine who was actually doing a tour came over. He said, "You know that guy?" I said, "Yeah, that's Uncle Bud." He said, "Man, the last time he was here talking to Berry Gordy, and they were talking like they ain't talked to each other in years. Like on the porch, laughing, talking and everything. Come to find out, he grew up with Berry Gordy."
Okay.
And
Cool.
he basically was a friend of the family. So that's the closest I am to a Gordy. A lot of people ask because of Beats Gordy. What happened is I managed producers. So producers make beats. So I was the Berry Gordy of beat makers. So that's
Come on
why
now.
Beats Gordy.
Hey.
That's where Beats Gordy come from.
So apart from the one you just told us, the memorable moment at the museum, did you have any other favorite moments that you've had with people who sprung around, maybe came from?
Just the people that comes a lot. Whenever Nikki Gilbert goes on live, I always want to say that I miss her dad. Her dad was Clay McMurray. Every time he would come to the museum, that was my guy. He used to come in, we used to talk a lot. He did If I Were Your Woman by Gladys Knight and Pips. He produced that. He also produced the Temptations Christmas album, not the Silent Night, the one with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Eddie. He produced that album as well. He did a lot of other productions on Motown. So talking with him, talking with Pat Cosby. Pat Cosby, she's still around. She actually is the wife of Hank Cosby, but she used to also watch over Stevie Wonder as well. So when Stevie Wonder was younger, he used to either be with her or with Esther Gordy, Barry's older sister. So she used to have a lot of stories as well. And just a lot of the people that would just come in, and they had a map with pins for everyone who was from different areas. And if you came from an area that wasn't represented, we let you get a pin and put it on the wall. And rarely that happened, but when that used to happen, it was amazing how this map was just full of people from all over the world that just came to Bill House. Yeah. And the music too. The music is just great too.
Yeah. Okay. So you kind of already gave us a few little stories, a wild card best music story? I know you got
It's
some
another story, but I can't really say it like I want to.
that you're comfortable sharing.
No. The funniest thing to me is when someone is actually talking about someone famous like a regular person. So the alumni was actually around talking, and a person was brought up, very famous Motown act was brought up, and I want to say the person's name who said it because they're pretty popular too. They said, "Don't bring them up in front of me," and they were serious, like as a heart attack. They were serious. So, like if you knew me, you heard the story before.
Okay,
That's just hilarious to me. It reminds me of like Soul Man.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I want to ask
What's
about
that?
your collection of
My collection of
albums.
records.
Yeah, kind of mention about who of your best that you like out of the ones that you have.
I'm a huge Stevie Wonder fan. So everything between Music of My Mind and Characters I Have, all those albums in between Music of My Mind and Characters. That's a lot of albums. Well, one album I don't have, and that's rightfully so. It's The Secret Life of Plants. And that's only because my favorite song on that album is on Musicarium, and I have that Musicarium album.
Okay.
I have a Jackson collection, including Jermaine. Y'all put some respect on Jermaine's name.
Yes, definitely.
Jermaine has a career that rivals a lot of people who are not Jacksons. So I have.
I mean, I definitely the length of it. I mean, like the
no. If you look at his career, it's artists that are solo acts that wish they had a career like Jermaine Jackson. It just so happens that his little sister is Janet, his little brother is Michael. But I have Jackson records. I have Jackson 5 records. I have Michael, Janet. I got Centipede. So like I love pretty much a lot of Jackson records. You know what I mean? I don't have Latoya's, but
what?
When I go to the record store, they don't have Latoya. I'm sorry. Like if they had Latoya, I'd grab it, but they don't ever have.
So that would be a rare one then.
Not really. No. It's just the fact that whoever have them, they not giving it away. Now I have some rare records. I have some white label Jackson records. Okay. I have a Jackson record that doesn't even have a cover. It just has not for distributing purposes, and those are like the white labels.
Okay. Oh, wow. You know, I stumbled across you talking about Berry Gordy. I stumbled across on, I want to say, was it Paramount Rick James documentary from like a couple years ago, and was that Berry Gordy's son? That
Kerry Gordy.
Okay, he really looks like Berry Gordy, so I'm like, that's.
I said he should whatever movie they have with Berry Gordy, they should have him play Berry Gordy in passing. I don't know if he can pull off an entire movie playing Berry Gordy, but if it's a small role, they should have him play Berry Gordy.
Oh my goodness, he looks like Berry. But he told us a crazy story about Rick James and some music exec and jumping on the table or something.
Oh yeah, pulling out his
yes.
Pulling out his, just pulling out. Yeah. Oh no, you didn't hear the story about him with the starter pistol. He got paid and went into Berry Gordy's office with a starter pistol and wanted actually another $100,000. And Berry basically told him to get out. Yeah, he was paid like $100,000. He was paid like $100,000 on the check. He wanted $200,000, and he went in there with a starter pistol, and Berry just told him to get out.
And I'm just like,
the crazy thing about that is that the fact that Motown wasn't his first choice, even though he wanted to go to Motown earlier in the 60s, and then when he was AWOL from the Navy, he didn't get his deal. He ended up getting court-martialed, and then he ended up coming back in 74, and ended up getting signed by Motown. But that wasn't his first choice.
Oh, okay. I can see that. Yeah. I really enjoy some Rick James music, but
Rick James is a great producer.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I would always ask was who saved Motown between Rick James and Lionel Richie, and that documentary actually answered the question.
Ooh, they
came out around the same time. They were totally different, and when Rick James did that, what he was talking about,
yes,
the person in the office said, All right, Lionel Richie.
Isn't that something? So
Yeah.
that shows you that your behavior and antics or whatever you want to, lifestyle, whatever, can impact your career,
Right.
because I mean the talent was there. I mean, undeniable, but he was
Talent,
wilding out.
talent only gets you so far. You have to have a certain. It's more to it than just talent. It's a lot of people that are talented. Just like if you go to a gym, you'll find somebody that can play basketball better than somebody that's in the finals right now, and they're not going to have their chance.
But I mean, are artists afforded, like, especially when they're young, these crazy and wild moments? Like we heard Ice Cube, winning a baseball bat in some industry.
TLC too, But they had a lot of skin in the game before they did things like that. I mean, you would think Rick James had a lot of skin in the game when he did what he did, but it's I mean, that's wild. He pulled out. Like, come on.
Well, and then the whole
thing.
So,
yeah. So I mean, it's talent is great to have, but not being an asshole is something that is an acquired taste too.
Interesting.
So I got a question. In your time at the museum, do you have an artist that should have been out there that people did not know of?
Yeah.
Like, for example, the way we've talked about artists, they say you gotta have some grit in you. You gotta be at the right place at the right time. Which one of those artists in Motown, the Motown records, do you think should have been accorded much more stardom than they were actually given?
That's a good question. I think besides the drugs, the barge should have been probably. God. They probably would have been as big, if not bigger, than the Jacksons were when they were at Motown.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that somewhere, yeah.
And actually, not just the barge, but Switch, because Switch was very talented. Switch could actually, they got their name because they could switch instruments. The person that played the drums could switch and play the trumpet, and the person that was singing could play the keyboard, and they all.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's where they got their name from. So, and then you had Bobby DeBarge, you had Philip Ingram, who were great vocalists. So I think they could have been a great group continuing on through the 80s. That time in the 80s with Motown, I'll tell you, a lot of people don't realize the time shifting affected Motown a lot. A lot of people give Berry Gordy criticism for selling Motown. I give him criticism for who he sold to, but not for selling. Now, Dick Griffey from Solar wanted to buy Motown. And him buying Motown would have been great. However, the reason why Berry Gordy had to sell, when you think about it, in 1967 was their biggest year. They sold 20 million records. Well, not 20 million records, but they made $20 million in 1967. And you got to think about it. That's their prime. You got Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Temptation Supremes, Four Tops, Martha Vandellas, all of these different artists. And they made $20 million in 67. Fast forward to 1987. They had to make $40 million to break even. Not even make a profit, just to break even.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, Rick James was going through drug issues. The Barge was going through drug issues. The Temptations were on a decline. Diana Ross had left and came back. Marvin Gaye had passed. Like, all of these different things was happening at Motown. It was so bad that we signed Bruce Willis.
To do what?
Bruce Willis had a Motown album.
Wow. Okay.
Look it up. You can look it up.
I didn't know that.
Bruce Willis had a Motown album.
Okay.
It was called like The Return of Bruno or something like that. But that's how bad it was. So like, yeah, he wasn't going to get into rap. I mean, somebody might be thinking, well, why didn't he sign NWA? He was never going to get into rap. You know what I mean? But if he would have gave it to Dick Griffey as opposed to MCA, it probably would have been different than it is now. But that's what it was.
Okay.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
Before we get to something else here,
let's see. So here,
welcome Scorpion. She said, "I love outside. I just hate smelling like it." I agree. And
I didn't get that.
We were talking about the outside concerts.
Oh, the outside. Oh yeah. Look, working in radio, I started to hate all concerts for a while. I hated concerts. I hated people. I just hate it. It was when you do parties and stuff in a work environment, like when you have to do these things, it becomes like a job.
I love music.
No. It's not the music. Like when you have to go to a party for work, you start to hate parties. Like seriously, I took the job doing camera work. And mind you, this is like 04, so it wasn't a small camera. It was like lights on top. And I'm in a club with this big camera, and people aren't even paying attention to me, and they're knocking me down. If you ever see, like, it was a scene on Chappelle's show where he was in the club and he was bumping into him and everything. They were doing that to me with the big camera. And I hated it. So after I left the radio, I didn't go to a club until maybe another 4 or 5 years after that. You couldn't get me to go to a club.
That's
then
funny.
Let's go.
Hey, shout out to Pedro.
Yeah.
What up, Pedro?
Oh, hey, Pedro, what's up?
Yeah.
So the reason why they say let's go is because of you were talking about some stories that you were withholding and wanted to.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the story, but I mean, I can't tell the people.
Right.
I can't say to people.
And Scorpion says, Stevie, it is. He solidified if he likes Stevie. Okay. So
Stevie, you know what? And a lot of people who love Mike and Prince, they use the dancing and just being a sex symbol. Stevie was never a sex symbol, so to say. So that's what went against him. However, he had the best 5-album run in music history. 8 top 10 singles, 12 Grammys, 3 Grammy album of the year. Yeah. And that was all in a span of 1972 to 1977. The album Intervisions almost was his last album because he almost died. Like he had a near fatal accident where he was driving. Well, he wasn't driving. He was riding in the car, and it was a log truck in front of him, and the log came through the windshield.
Oh no!
And he was in a coma for a long period of time.
Okay.
So with that happening, during that time, Intervisions was being promoted, and when he woke out of his coma, the song that they were playing on the radio was Higher Ground. And if you listen to Higher Ground, it talks about him having a second chance in life.
Yeah.
Which is eerie. Which is why after that next album was very dark. And then he took a break, and then Songs from Kid Life. But during that time period, that's when all those hits were made. So I always say he had a bigger, longer run than Michael, in a sense, or Prince with those 5 years. Paul Simon won the album of the year, and thanks Stevie for not making an album that year. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh wow.
What kind of projects are you working on right now?
I'm working on so many things. I just got into government contracting and grant writing. Not grant writing, but I have a grant that's written for my company. So I'm trying to get funds. I'm trying to get into transportation, trying to get into real estate, trying to get into consulting. I have podcast work that I'm trying to do as well. I did a podcast during the pandemic. Didn't like how it looked because we were doing it not in person. So I wanted to try to do something in person here in Detroit with a few friends of mine, a pod with no name. So look out for that. Also, I do interviews as well. Tryezz Love, who's a great comedian, actually hit me up and said he wanted to do an interview soon. So I'm trying to get other guests, but doing interviews as well, and just continuing the love of music as well. I produce off and on. Whenever I feel like it, I get behind the boards and do some work as well. So I want to try to be the first person that's successful in multiple things at the same time.
Hey.
Nice.
What about the socials?
What's that?
Your socials. How do we get
everything is Beats Gordy. So just the way it's spelled down here or down here.
Right.
Beats Gordy. On TikTok, on Instagram. I'm rarely on Facebook, but Instagram and TikTok is where you can find me.
Now we got to talk about the TikTok. this incident that happened from this guy of Detroit, your guy from Detroit,
Oh yeah.
no guy, but he's one of Detroit. The guy who got caught driving without a license, and it was all over TikTok. And you say we had to apologize for him.
Oh no. We don't have to apologize.
Well,
he just went to court today. We don't have to apologize.
technically,
okay, so I can tell you about that. During the pandemic, people went to court still. They didn't stop court dates. So they would go on Zoom. Now, I know someone who went to court on Zoom and they were dressed regular. The judge said, I'm going to have you turn your camera off. Go put on some proper clothes or you're going to be held in contempt. Now, you still have to dress properly when you go on Zoom for court. So the fact that the judge let him wear a t-shirt baffled my mind initially. However, he was driving while in court. That's crazy. Even if he had his license, that's insane. So initially, the judge said in their records, his license was suspended. Now, when you have a suspended license, they don't just suspend the license. They just take your driving privileges. So whether you have a license or not, if they take your driving privileges, if you don't have a license, you can't go get one. But if you have a license, you can't drive. That's all clear, right? It's just taking the driving privileges.
Yeah.
So he had his driving privileges taken. 2 years ago, they were supposed to reinstate them. So they reinstated them. However, he never had a license in the first place. So when he went to court today, the judge said he never had a license at all. Which is why I'm saying, how do you not know? You never went and took a written test, a road test to get a license. I apologized, actually. I did. I said, okay, if it was supposed to be reinstated, then I'm sorry. But to not ever have a license, no. You're stupid. You're an idiot. That's the dumbest thing. Where I didn't think he could be dumber than driving in the car during a court date. And then he came to court today and they said he never had a license.
Man, and
that's insane.
I'm pulling up.
Look, even if I have my license, I'm parking the car. I'm gonna even get out the car, sit in the passenger side, and then going for it.
See? Yeah, that was just so bizarre. So bizarre.
No. It's not bizarre. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Well,
it's stupid. He said he was mad because he went viral before. You deserve to be going viral because that level of stupidity is mind-boggling.
The strangest things happen.
So make sure, hey guys, if you're watching, be sure to follow Beats Gordy on TikTok.
He makes content creator, makes some funny videos and stuff like that.
I try.
Yeah. We appreciate it. Cool. Super cool. We definitely support our content creator friends. So we're glad that you came by. Anything else to share? Beats Gordy.
I shared pretty much everything, pretty much been an open book. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to rewatch it over and over. I'm going to spread it around, of course.
Please do. Chop it up.
Definitely. Who are some of you guys' favorite Motown artists?
Oh my God. I was really into that Rick James documentary and they talked to the lady from Mary Jane Girls. Oh my God, big Mary Jane Girls. Tina Marie, they talk big Tina Marie. But of course, Diana Ross, I know big Diana Ross.
Yeah.
But she's just so iconic. Like, just the styling and just, I just feel like she had that many kids on purpose so that she could just have this long legacy, and then to look like how she looks after having, she's just really, and I think she's coming to town. Like she's
supposed to perform. It's an event where she's performing, I want to say the 16th of June. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. I've seen the flyer in passing and I haven't seen it. So, but it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a big performance with different
The
artists.
fact that
Big
she's
Sean is
still,
supposed to be there, all that.
yeah, the fact that it's just, I mean, amazing. She's iconic to me.
I think I'll go with Dan Ross and the Jackson
Mhm.
5.
With Jackson Five.
Okay.
Yeah, for Motown. They're the ones who just boom.
Right.
Hey,
It's a
coincidentally,
lot. They are on a long list of artists who went to Motown and then had success after Motown.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hey,
so you have the
Mhm.
Jackson Five, Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Isley Brothers, the Spinners. Those are all artists that Motown just didn't have room in the whole carousel for to make hits, so they moved on.
coincidentally, I just wanted to put this out there. I used
Stephanie Mills too. Stephanie Mills was with Motown as well.
Okay.
I wanted to put out this coincidentally joke. I used to think Prince was white.
Really?
Yep.
Like
How long did that go on before you realized he was black?
2003.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
that's a cultural misunderstanding.
Oh good lord. Well, you came to America in 2003, right? Okay,
2001.
so 2001. Well,
Oh.
you should have known in that first when you first landed that Prince was black.
So there was a movie I watched. It was some boys playing basketball. 3 boys playing basketball. I remember them in a locker room, and then they were talking about Prince, and they were saying, "Oh, Prince was white," and they laughed about it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, well he's white." But come now, when I got to America, and then now people started talking about Prince, and I'm like, okay, we don't. It's either you're white or black. Can't mix the two. So even if you're Mexican, you're still considered white. You can't. You never, yeah. So now that's when I got here.
Biracial.
So that's how I got.
Biracial.
I don't. For years, I don't think Prince was biracial. I think both his parents are black.
I thought
He's
that
just
like
very
in
light-skinned.
Purple Rain, the Italian mother was kind of like a loosely.
Nah, I think his mother was. I might be mistaken. But
So
I
that's
thought
just some
he was
movie stuff
just
they
some movie
did.
stuff. Yeah, just some movie stuff. I believe so.
Up.
Don't hold me to that. But I believe in passing. I've seen pictures of Prince's mom.
Because I haven't seen these siblings either that came forward.
They black.
Right.
Oh, they black.
They black.
No, his siblings, but
They black.
Prince,
You know what I'm saying?
Prince
See,
is-
in my mind, Purple Rain is his story. So I just
What do you want me to do? They cast Clarence William III just to yell. I think they heard him yelling. They said, "Oh, he got it."
oh my god, I love that movie. Like I can literally.
It was years before I watched the entire movie in one sitting. I used to watch like parts of it as a kid,
Okay.
but I would always. Purple Rain was one of the movies that rarely came on TV, and then every time it came on TV, I would miss the beginning.
Okay.
So that's why I always watched it like in spurts. And my mom was a bit VHS lady, so
Yeah.
either she would tape stuff or my brother would tape stuff for her.
Mhm.
And I think the tape that had Purple Rain was taped over. So I had to catch it somewhere else.
Okay. Oh,
Hey,
wow.
that's a Joe Jackson offense, taping over something in the house.
Oh, not Purple Rain. That's
You go to watch Purple Rain and Royal Rumble is on there. You get your butt beat. It's a wrap.
hilarious.
My mom like, I wanted to watch Prince. Who was Ultimate Warrior?
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Look at our numbers. We are going this is long. Okay.
I think
Go
I think
ahead.
we're gonna
Sambaza.
do this. We have had a half year report. I think you're gonna have to come to the end of the year and do another report.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. This is fun.
Yeah. Okay,
It's around
cool.
Christmas time. Maybe we might talk about
Now
Christmas.
listen, I'm in Detroit, so I can't plan past 3 days. You got to make sure I'm still here, above ground. So
Okay.
so every 3 days, call me and make sure I'm still here.
We will
Hey, we'll check out your lives, guys.
Yeah. Make sure
Make
I'm
he's
still
there.
breathing. Yeah.
Right.
we will check. We will check on Beats.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, well we will have those links posted where you can find Beats content, his videos. You can see what Beats is up to and tap in with Beats Gordy. Okay.
Hey, listen. If y'all make a comment and I can't tag you in a reply, please don't comment. Because that make me look like I'm arguing with myself.
Okay.
Oh no, he's not gonna argue with you. You wouldn't do that. Oh gosh, hilarious. But yeah, healthy hip hop debates and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, sounds great. So we appreciate you guys for tapping in. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the people watching the visual. We'll have the audio very soon. All right. And if you found this episode meaningful, please consider sharing it with your friends, family. Subscribe, like, share if you made it this far. Right on. Okay. And then stay tuned for more engaging content. We look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. Shout out to Black Music Month. Shout out to men's mental health. And everybody be aware and call those numbers if you need to call. If you need to talk to somebody, reach out. You know, someone is there. You don't have to deal with those things alone. And we appreciate you guys. Beats, stay around so that we can properly send you off. And Sambaza,
We just celebrated our Independence Day. Our Independence Day on the 1st of June. Kenya Independence Day on the 1st of June.
Was it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Shout it out.
Well, hey, I'm waving the Kenyan flag, and we celebrated the 1st of June. It's called Jamhuri Day, which Kenya became a republic. And that's it.
Okay, shout out to the Republic of Kenya. Wakanda forever. And all right, guys. Thank you for listening. And till next time, take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.